Hello, everyone. My name is Joe, and I'm here. I'm going to share a little word of encouragement with you. The next few lessons, actually, the next few video posts I put up is going to be about a book called "Finding God When the World's on Fire: Strength and Faith for Dangerous Times." And it's by Swindoll. It was published or copyrighted around 2016. The reason why I started looking at this book, reading this book, I've had it for about a year now, and got it from my son, who gave it to me as a present about a year ago. And this seems like a good book for the times we're living in, because we have that global pandemic that's trying to rear its ugly head again. There's forest fires all over the world. There's wars and rumors of wars. There's all kinds of droughts and all kinds of calamity, both physical and hitting our political system, hitting all kinds of different, hitting our media, and it seems like the world's going crazy. And one thing I wanted to do was just get wise counsel. One way to get wise biblical counsel is to, yes, you could call your pastors and your ministers, call your fellow friends at church and different things, but you could also talk to people, get wise counsel by reading good books. And first of all, you read the Bible and pray and talk to God himself. But sometimes he might just steer you in the direction of a book or literature that he's given somebody revelation on, and they can walk you through the Bible just by reading. And the person might be alive or dead, long dead, but you still have their writings. So I believe Chuck Swindoll's alive. I didn't really look that up, but God bless him for writing this book. So the next few video posts I put up are going to be about me walking through this book. It has 10 chapters. It's a very short book. Here's a copy. Look at that, right? It's pretty short. And the first chapter is actually named after the title of the book, and it's called "Finding God When the World's on Fire." And Chuck Swindoll opens up with talking about the 4 stages of fire. You have a beginning stage, a growth. The second stage is like a growth stage. The third stage is a fully developed stage, and the fourth stage is a decaying stage. So there's like a life cycle of a fire. And what's so important about these stages is the stages are a pattern that most fires follow. And even with that, there's a pattern that most troubles and tribulations we encounter follow. We might not always notice these phases depending on what's happening in our life, if we're being distracted, whatever. But we can rest assured that there is nothing new under the sun, and that nothing surprises God. So when he shared this pattern, I was like, wow, that makes sense. It starts, it grows, it's fully developed, then it winds down. Chuck, because this was written in 2016, we had ISIS starting to pop up. We had those California fires and different things, and other issues attacking the world. Other fires, both literal and symbolic fires attacking this earth. And even today, we have fires. We have a global pandemic. There's still real fires. There's things going on in the political system, going on with the government. There's things going on in the schools. There's things going on in different people's families, on the job, even internally. There's all kinds of fires popping up. And one of the words of encouragement is that in the midst of the flames, it's a question he asked, in the midst of the flames, is it possible for someone to find God? And obviously the answer is yes. We all know the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but if you're not familiar with it, I encourage you to read the book of Daniel, chapter 3. And in this book, we see these 3 Hebrew boys who did not want to bow down. They wanted to follow God, and their government at the time and the political system at the time was making laws and passing laws that made it illegal and had extremely harsh punishments to exercise your religious freedom, the basic freedom to worship God. Now, with that being said, hold on. Now, with that being said, these young men did not follow the rules. They followed God, and they had to make that face that harsh punishment, which was actually going through a literal fire. They first went through a political government type fire with breaking the laws, and secondly, they had to go through a literal fire as punishment, or as a consequence, or as a wage of them breaking the law. And they weren't just thrown in the fire at the beginning stage or at this growing stage. They were thrown in the fire at the fully developed stage. They were in a fully developed fire. But when they were thrown in the fire, they had so much trust in God that they did not fear. And that's one of the biggest tactics of the enemy today, is fear. Having fear in the fire. And we need to ignore that fear. We don't ignore danger, but we do need to ignore the fear. And don't let that give the enemy ground to have fear. Let fear get planted in our hearts and our minds. But back to the fire. These 3 Hebrew boys were in the fire, fully developed fire. And in the midst of the fire, while they were going through the fire, Jesus showed up. And Jesus protected them from the destructive power of the fire. Jesus protected them, again, from the destructive power of the fire, and they made out the fire not even smelling like smoke. What we can learn from this is that the same Jesus that protected the Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, while they were going through that fully developed fire, is the same Jesus that can protect you while you're going through your fire. Whether it's the pandemic, whether it's things at work, whether it's political stuff, whether the laws being passed and policies being passed that are against Jesus that you're trying to follow, whether it's stuff at work, stuff with your family, whether it's food shortage, water shortage, forest fires in your state or in your locality, Jesus was with you through the fire, and you trust him to bring you out unharmed. And so that is the main lesson I want to share with you today, is that you can find God in the midst of a fire. You can find Jesus in the midst of the fire, in the middle of a bad situation. Look for Jesus because he's there. Don't get distracted with the bad situation that you take your eyes off of Jesus, okay? And with that being said, I want to challenge you to pray, fast, talk to God, ask him how to apply this word to whatever situation in life you're going through. And if you're not going through anything, ask God to help you remember this and to share this with others so you can help them out as well and encourage others. Now, God bless. And again, the name of this book is Finding God When the World's on Fire by Chuck Swindoll. And our next video is going to be chapter 2. And chapter 2 is, let me pull it up here for you. Hold on, I know normally on broadcast and things you don't want dead space and dead air, but I'm just, this is just a very, very basic broadcast here. But the chapter 2 is titled When the Foundations Shake. All right, chapter 2 is titled When the Foundations Shake, and that'll be our next video. God bless, and I will see you next time.